Dariq Whitehead, Duke Blue Devils, freshman wing, very young, 18 years old this season. He is going to be 18.88 years old on draft night. He's listed at 6'6", 220. Didn't find a reported wingspan, but it definitely looks plus. This is where things get interesting with Dariq. He played 20.6 minutes per game this season, averaged 8.3 points per game, 2.4 rebounds a game, 1 assist to 1.4 turnovers, 0.8 steals, 0.2 blocks, shot 42.1% from the field, 42.9% from three, and 79.3% from the free throw line on 1 free throw attempt per game. True shooting percentage of 54.8, PER 14.1, BPM of 3.9.
It's funny, Corey, you were going over like the raw numbers and him just shooting 43% from three this season on like 3.5, right, per game or something is not freaking bad. So I'd like to start there.
Mostly spot up, some self-creation, but for the most part, it was a very simplistic shot diet. And I think that was really beneficial for him because I think if he proved anything, it's that this dude can really knock down shots off the catch. And if we're looking at him from the context that he can come in and play a simplistic role as a role player off of other stars, I think that there's a lot of reason for optimism because we know that shooting is a premium in the NBA. And clearly, he's pretty damn good at it, right? So, I mean, this is a pretty heavily contested shot. I gave the numbers: 51.4% on guarded shots, 44% overall per synergy. This is it's pretty smooth, man. And you know, shooting it confidently, hand in his face, letting it fly, and that corner spacing, I think, could be really valuable.
So, Corey, for me, watching him shoot, watching his makes, it looks good. It really does. As you mentioned, it looks pretty. It's fluid, looks repeatable, all that stuff. My issue like when I was watching, maybe it's not even an issue, but when I was watching him miss, I had a lot of questions about a couple of things. So the first thing that I wrote in my notes was on a lot of his misses, I felt like, so when he's making his shots, it seems like he's, really set, really balanced going up. And then when he lands too, I feel like he comes down on both feet and it looks really good. On a lot of his misses, I felt like he was landing on one foot and kind of doing like the hopping thing afterwards. And I was wondering if that was like a body contortion thing with his shot at the top. And then like as he was landing, was something happening there? Another question that I had was I felt like sometimes like that guide hand, instead of being at the side of the ball, I thought was kind of at the front of the ball. And I was so this was a question for you, wondering what type of effect that has on the shot, if any at all. So yeah, let's start there. I had another question to follow up, but could we start there? Was my question.
For me, the difference between his makes and misses are like the elevation that he gets.
Okay.
Like a lot of times I feel like on his misses, he's like kind of flat-footed. He's not shooting in rhythm. He's not shooting on the hop. He's not shooting off a 1-2. It's just kind of like barely getting any, elevation and not generating a lot of power. And he shoots like a really high arcing ball. So for me, that's the first problem. His hands can get wonky too. There's some inconsistencies when he's like not shooting it confidently. When he's missing it, it does look like, has this guy ever shot the ball before? Right? Like, but when it looks good, a lot of that is kind of eradicated. So I do wonder sometimes, because there was more consistency in high school, and obviously like that's a step below. So it's going to look better at that level for a guy like him. But I do wonder, like if a lot of the inconsistencies with his shot was just like trying to catch up to the speed of the game and figuring out how much space he needed, how much time, and if he can go through his full release. I mean, it's hard to kind of react too much and think that he doesn't have like the movement stuff in his bag as well. And a lot of it just like him getting used to his heavier body. I don't know. I think there was a lot of factors as to why some of the misses looked clunky, even though I do think that some of the misses were self-inflicted just based on maybe some of the shots that he isn't really that capable of knocking down consistently.
Yeah, no, I that was another thing that I wrote down here. I felt like sometimes his shot selection was kind of nightmarish. The college game, it just once again, like as I was watching him shoot, it just felt like there are so many different factors that were playing into what we were watching. I also felt like sometimes Corey on his misses that it felt like he was shooting on the way down.
Mm,
Was another thing that I noticed that it's pretty common. Something that you see kind of all the time. I mean, that was kind of one of my critiques with Quentin Grimes when he's coming out. I felt like at times he
yeah.
was shooting on the way down. So it's not something that can't be fixed. It's just I don't know. The more I watched it, the more I felt like it was just felt like a lot of adjusting to different things. And Corey, another thing is off the dribble. It just was really hard to watch for me at times. So yeah.
I like the point about him kind of shooting on the way down, or they're kind
Mhm.
of like even on this clip, and Julian Phillips, very good defender. He's kind
Yeah.
of all over him. He's got a lot of length. And this is kind of, shows some of the self creation, like inefficiencies that he has, but he kind of like at his peak, I don't know if he's shooting on the way down necessarily, but he's pausing at his peak instead of like
Yeah.
letting it fly like
Yeah.
in one motion. There's like a slight, it's not a hitch necessarily, but it's like a delay. And
Mhm.
that's when you mentioned Quentin Grimes. Grimes has that sometimes. And it kind of leads to a lot of the times it's like it ends up short or whatever. And you're just like a 0.1 second quicker on the release, it'd be cash. When he
That
got into some of the
mid-range.
mid-range stuff,
Yeah.
it was just like,
That
man,
this
what are we doing?
Corey, this was the exact play that I highlighted that I wrote down in my notes that I wanted to go over. For me, it was just look who's guarding him. Like, no disrespect to this guy, but I mean, I don't feel like I feel I don't know. Just watching this, I was like, man, he's really struggling to create separation to get by him, and this is a tough shot, and it doesn't look very pretty. He doesn't look comfortable at all. A couple chicken wings thrown in there too, and I'm just like, I wasn't very excited.
Yeah, I mean, look, Virginia players are usually pretty strong defenders
Yeah.
fundamentally. The guard's doing a good job moving his feet,
Yeah.
but ultimately, and I don't know if you want to chalk it up to Dariq just doesn't have the burst because of the injury, or you want to chalk it up to he doesn't have the creativity with his handle, which
Mhm.
I think is kind of the big problem with him is that his handle's really loose. So when we're talking
Yes.
about him as a self-creator, self-generator, a guy who could be a 3-level scorer, it's kind of concerning. And he just on this specific play, like he's got to settle for this weird turnaround, and it's ugly, and it's this play in particular. It's not like the shot clock's expiring.
Yeah.
It's just it's a bad shot, and
Mm.
we've seen, and this is recent. You know what I mean? It's not even like we could chalk this up to him trying to find his footing. Coming into the year, returning from the injury, right? So I think one, his court awareness as well. Like even on this, which is a fairly simple shot. He's not dancing with the ball. He's not doing a whole lot. It's one step inside the 3-point line and settling for a really highly contested
Yeah.
shot. And it's just like one, I think those are going to be eliminated at the next level because I don't think he's going to be this crazy bucket getter who just is given the keys. There's too much talent in the league. There's too many guys, even if he gets drafted, towards the 20s that are going to have that role. But for me, if he does eliminate these and he sticks to his strength, which is shooting the 3 ball, off the catch, I think there's a legit path for him. And even when he keeps it simple, like for me, like he should have like king of the court principles where it's like, if I can't do something in 3 dribbles or less,
Mm.
I shouldn't do it.
Mm.
Right. Like this is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like this was recent. From the tournament, he faces up on the right wing, a little jab step, and just to create a little bit of space and knockdown, shooting it confidently. And
Yeah.
and he looked pretty confident in some of these games in the tournament and towards the end of the year. Like he's a keep it simple, stupid kind of
Mhm.
player for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but also Corey, like I just want to come back, just watching this clip right now. Like, look at his balance. Like, he
Mhm.
feels so much more balance coming off this shot, and that's the thing with me that bothers me so much when I watch him come off the dribble. When he starts to create off the dribble and shoot off the dribble, his feet just go. Like, he does not have the same balance at all, and I feel like a lot of that can be from that lack of lower body strength right now. Whether it's he's just always kind of been like a weaker guy. Once again, that he's landing so balanced there, but I just feel like whether it's the injury or he's just got to get stronger in his lower half, when he's coming off the dribble, a lot of times that balance is just not there. His feet are all over the place, and he just without his feet under him, it's hard to have the stability and the consistency to hit these shots all the time. And you talked about it, Corey, off the dribble too. Like the creativity's not there. He doesn't have a lightning quick first step. As you mentioned, I don't want to use the word pudgy, but he did add some weight here, and it doesn't look like he added like muscle, but he did just kind of add a little bit of weight, and I think all that matters. And I feel like, when you don't have that balance under you and you don't have that type of creation ability, then you are going to get some pretty gnarly looking misses, like you've shown.
Yeah, and but I mean, 43%. Yeah, it comes
Yeah,
down to the shots
yeah.
started going in at a high clip. And there's a reason why he was so highly heralded coming in.